Hey everybody, and welcome to Alan's Bonsai. In the last two videos I worked on some Neea. I did a large thin tree in more of a feminine informal upright, and then I did a tiny mame tree that was just so cute. But in that video I also talked about how I have a whole bunch of other Neeas that are all exactly the same age, all taken as cuttings about 3 years ago. But I wanted to show you just how important it is to put them into bigger pots. And I'm not really, bummed that I still have some in small pots that haven't gotten thick, because they will make great mame. But if we look at this guy, and then they're all hiding, they're all just one giant jumbled mess too, because I let them grow rampantly because I want to take cuttings. So there's a couple more here that are all basically the same size. Here's another one that's leaning way over, that's basically the same size. And another guy here, and they're all in those crusty old 3-inch pots. But then there's this guy that's in a 6-inch pot that is considerably thicker, and this one here that's actually in an old food container that's considerably thicker too. And then the thickest one is actually this guy. We have to go into the jungle, and it's growing in a colander. And I got the idea for growing trees and training in a colander from another guy on YouTube, and I'm sorry that I don't know who it was, but if I'm not mistaken, he grew nothing but shohin trees, and he had hundreds along his back fence. And he was growing, I believe, junipers in colanders, and I thought, what a great idea, because you have the root pruning effect from the drainage holes in the colander, plus, as in relation to this video, it's so much bigger than all the rest of them. Even the branching. I have branches on this tree thicker than the trunks of the little guys in the 3-inch. So that just goes to show you just how much growth you can get from trees that you put into bigger pots. And it really all depends on what your finished size is that you want. Do you want a huge tree? Because once a tree gets to a certain size, then it's never going to be a mame, or maybe even a shohin. So do you like small trees? Do you like medium trees? Do you want your collection to have some of everything, which is pretty much my collection? And so that really just depends on your preferences. I will tell you this, the older I get, the smaller my trees are, because they're just easier to handle, for one thing. I have some trees that are so big I can't even move them around anymore. So there's a good idea of how much growth you can get. And even though this is a jumbled mess, and you see they grow way up, I did take one and put it on the pedestal where I do most of my videos, and I'm going to go show you him right now. So this is a Neea that I took out of the mess, stuck him on my pedestal, and there's a lot of shadow, so sorry about that. But look how wild this thing is. And it is also in a larger pot, another food container, with a pretty good trunk comparatively. And so now what do you do with this guy? Well, you could go so many different ways with this tree. You could take it even to this lower branch right here and just chop the rest off. Bring this branch up and make yourself a little shohin. You could take this trunk line, get rid of that guy, take this trunk line up, and it would be very similar to the feminine upright that I just styled. There's just so many different ways. You could come up to here and use this as the first main leader and have more of an informal upright that has more angularity versus the curve. So many different things. And because these guys root so easily, this guy here, conceivably, as we go up and up and up and up, could be 100 cuttings. And if you looked at the other group, there's 1,000 cuttings I could take. Do I want 1,000 Neea? No, I don't. But I do love to propagate. And I've also seen, because I took cuttings like this, real thin. In fact, I have cuttings. I'll show you at the end of this video. But I have seen cuttings this big, which is, there's my finger. So, what would you say? 3/8 of an inch around, that have rooted. So I've got the potential for a lot of fairly thick cuttings that I could take right away and really skip that 2 or 3 year growing period from taking the very thin cuttings like these guys. So let me go show you those. They're in a completely different place. I'll go show you the cuttings that are pretty much rooted out and ready to be potted up. This is a group of Neea cuttings that I took last summer, and you can see they're just tiny, tiny, tiny. So that's why it takes 3 years to get them to be as thick as your little finger. But now that I've got those thick branches and trunks on the bigger trees, like I said, I have seen, oh, this is Ilex shilling cuttings that I just took. But since we're talking about the Neea, I have seen cuttings at least that big that have rooted. So I'm definitely going to attempt that, and that will kind of skip the, for lack of a better term, the teenager stage. So that's it with my Neea collection. I really don't have any finished trees. Just the two that I just did, and the little mame, I just stuck him in a pot just yesterday or the day before. So they're a fun tree to work with, very tropical. I live right at the northern border of Zone 10, so if you live in another place, and I'm in the US, if you live in another place on the planet, growing Neea may be more difficult for you, if not impossible, unless you have, very, very good cold protection, a warm greenhouse. So thanks for watching. Hopefully you learned a little about Neea, at least how I do it. And subscribe and like this video if you did like it. I guess I have yet to get a dislike. So you want to, does anyone wanna you want to be my first dislike? Holy cow. I guess that's why I'm not a radio announcer. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.